Everyone. Thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Successful Email Marketing for Furniture Retailers. My name is Caprice Crawford, and I am the Education Director here at the Home Furnishings Association, and I will be your moderator for today's webinar. Before we get started, I'd like to go over the basics of today's webinar. This webinar will be recorded, and all attendees will receive a follow-up email by this time tomorrow on how to access the recording. As you heard when you joined the webinar, you are in listen-only mode. This means that all attendees except myself and our speaker are muted. Although we can't hear you, we do encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation using the chat box you see on your webinar control panel. This control panel usually pops up on the right-hand side of your screen. Only organizers can see your questions, so I will be monitoring them as the webinar progresses, and our speaker will address all questions at the end of the presentation. Now, it is our pleasure to have Ken Mahar, CEO of emailbroadcast.com. Ken grew up in the furniture industry and now helps furniture retailers succeed using email marketing. Email Broadcast is a boutique, full-service email marketing agency. Ken combines a champion sales career with the artistry and science of today's #1 marketing tool, email marketing. Thank you, Ken, for taking time to present today. Are you ready to get started?
I am. Thank you. Thank you, Caprice. It's my pleasure to be here. Yeah, so as Caprice said, I'm a furniture veteran. I started my career selling furniture belly to belly to the public, and moved on from a full-line furniture store to a mattress-only store. So I am one of you if you've been there. And today I'm the founder of Email Broadcast, and today we serve several furniture retailers, and we're proud to do so. Every one of these clients that you see on the screen has been with us for at least a year, and all but one have been 2 to 10 years or so. So we have been serving your industry, and we're excited to be here to talk. So let's get started. Does anybody know who this is? I may be dating myself here, but I wanted somebody to use your chat button over on the right. I think it probably is. And so let's see who can type in the first answer to this. Come on. All right, it's Larry Bird. Larry Bird was a Boston Celtic. He was the Rookie of the Year when he got started. He was ended up being a 12-time All-Star. He was a 3-time league MVP. He won an NBA championship 3 times. And he actually won an Olympic gold medal when the U.S. started playing in the Olympics. So every year, Larry would show up to NBA rookie camp. And all the guys would be like, Larry, you're an all-star. I mean, why are you here? And Larry said, well, how do you think I got to be an all-star? You see, Larry understood that the fundamentals were worthy of his time. And so we're going to start with some fundamentals today about email marketing, and I think you're going to find them valuable. So, first off, there may be some people in our audience that have actually yet to start an email marketing program. And I welcome you, and I'm glad that you're here. And you have a couple of advantages, actually, if you want to think about it that way, in that you have a chance to do email marketing right from the start. So what does it take to get started? Well, it takes some perseverance, and it takes a good attitude, and you've got to buy in on this, and I'm going to give you some evidence on why email marketing is so powerful. We actually have a document that I will send everybody, the attendees, which is our curated list of 21 facts that every business owner should know about email marketing. And the basics is that email marketing is still #1 return on investment according to the Direct Marketing Association. So about 21% of companies' revenue is driven by email these days on average. So email is a big, big deal, and you have a chance to get it right from the start. So why do people not get started? Well, there's a myriad of reasons, but none of them are that good when you compare what the results are. One of the things that I hear from people is, well, we don't really have an email list yet, so we need to start that, and then we'll get started. And that's a bad idea, and I'll tell you why. The people that I talk to, a year after their intention to get their emails, start collecting their emails, they're in the same exact position as they were. Because until you take it seriously and actually make an investment and start to do the training that's needed to really implement a email marketing program, nothing good is going to happen. So if there's anything that I can encourage you to do today is to get started. So when you get started, one of the first things you have to do is kind of define success. And you may have one idea, might be climbing a mountain is what success is for you, while for somebody else it's laying on the beach. And so you really kind of need to look at your company, decide what your goals are, and then ask, how is email marketing going to help with our primary goal? And what are we going to do, and how will we measure it? Southwest Airlines is kind of famous for this. I'm trying to remember what book it was I read it in, but they kind of had this overarching defined goal of being the #1 low-cost airline. And every decision that was brought to them really was in the framework of, will this help us be the #1 low-cost airline? And that helped them guide their plan around everything, around their marketing, around the fact that they only served peanuts, the fact that they had short hops, the fact that they kept their fleet to Boeing 737s, and it informed all these different decisions on how they could be the low-cost airline. So if you want to be the low-cost furniture retailer, then you will have a very different campaign than if you're trying to be, trying to grow the next, Fortune 500 furniture company. So you need to figure out what your goal is first. So one of the common goals for furniture retailing with their email marketing program is, well, we want to drive revenue. I'm like, okay, great. How much revenue do you want to drive? Well, as much as we can. Okay, well, let's look at what your current sales are. Let's look at how big your email list, and let's kind of put up a plan that actually gives you a chance for success. And then the next question is, how long would you like to drive revenue from your email marketing campaign? Because if you're worried only about the next month or the next quarter versus I want my email campaign to be more successful 5 years from now than it is today, it's going to inform your decision. You're going to have a very different campaign. So figure out what success is for you, and that should help you inform your campaign and where you're going. So one of the fundamentals of great email marketing is that you figure out who your audience is. So this is one of the most important things that we're going to talk about today. So I want you guys to come away with something from this talk. So right now I want to do a little exercise. So we're just going to spend a minute. So grab a notepad and a pen, and we're going to do a little exercise. So right now I want you to think about your customer. And we're going to define them. I want you to think about what's their gender, what's their age, what's their race, what's their socioeconomic standard, where do they live. So go ahead and write those things down, and I'm just going to kind of prompt you a little bit as we go along. So as you start to write down this definition of your audience, ask the next question of what do they care about? And don't just come up with one thing, come up with a couple of things. What else do they care about? Okay, now I want you to think in broader terms. What do they have in common? What are their goals? What are their dreams? What are their hopes? What are their desires? And how can you help them achieve those? One of the great ways that we use to help define an audience is we try to figure out, what magazine do these people read? Are they Real Simple magazine readers? Are they Country Living? Are they Traditional Homes? Right? And these guys, all these people on the screen that you see, these have all defined an audience, and they're speaking to that audience. You need to figure out who your audience is so you can speak to them really, really clearly. All right, thanks for playing along there. So once you have an idea of who your audience is, then we recommend that you brainstorm a bunch of content ideas. Now, there are some rules to brainstorming, and most people are terrible at it. So I want to talk about what the rules are to brainstorming. Who's had this experience? You're in a meeting, and the leader says, okay, guys, we need some ideas about what we're going to do for next month. And there's dead silence. And they say, no, come on, really, I need some ideas. And then somebody brave or new pipes up and said, well, we could do something around this local event that's happening. And then 3 people chime in and tell you and say why that's a bad idea and it probably wouldn't work. And then the guy says, okay, who's got another idea? And nobody raises their hand. So this is how a lot of brainstorming sessions work, what they call brainstorming. This is actually just, idea killing sessions. So one of the things that we do as a creative agency is we have free-form idea flow. And when you're thinking about your audience, start thinking about ideas that they would be interested in that have nothing to do with furniture retailing, okay? And just start going crazy. And if you're the leader of the brainstorming session, what I like to do as a leader is I like to come up with the most crazy idea I can possibly think of just to kind of expand the envelope and let everybody know that all ideas are welcome. And then you need to set the rules and say, listen, we're going to brainstorm ideas, and I don't want to hear any judgment about these ideas at all. If you've done any improv, there's a concept called yes and, where you're like, yeah, and we could do this, right? Even if it's like a completely different idea. But it's always yes and, so it's a very encouraging environment for people to share their ideas. And here's why we do this. The very, very best ideas that we get are the grandchildren of one terrible idea that led to one crazy idea that led to one brilliant idea. But if we killed that terrible idea in our process, we'd have never gotten our best idea. So I really encourage you to kind of write up a bunch of ideas, get them all down on paper, and save the judgment until later. So now that you know who your audience is and you've got a bunch of ideas, then you need to figure out, how do I add value? And you don't have to write everything yourself, by the way. You can curate value for your readers. You can do the hard work. You can boil it down for them. You can give them the best stuff. Has anyone here on the call heard of Gary Vee? Chat in your window if you have. Yeah, so Gary Vaynerchuk is kind of a social media, guru, I guess you would call him. He wrote a book recently, and it's called Jab, 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 Left Hook. And he's talking about social media, but the exact same principles are also true in email marketing, and that you need to add value to people's lives. You guys, I have some bad information. I have some bad news. People don't buy furniture every month. I know that's hard to take, but you need to understand that and then realize that your job is, how do I engage this customer? How do I keep them active? How do I keep them interested, opening my emails, so that 2 years from now, when they do have need for another product, I'm absolutely on the top of their list, very first place they're going to go. So you do that by providing value, giving value, giving value. So the jab, jab, jab is value, 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 and then the right hook is every now and then it's okay to close for a sale. So if that doesn't make sense, imagine this. Imagine that you listen to a radio station and all they ever had on the radio station was commercials. How long would you listen? And what's interesting is that's what a lot of you guys are doing with your email campaign. It's commercial after commercial after commercial after commercial. And your email campaign is like a media channel. And if that's all you're serving up your audience is commercials, they're going to tune out. They're going to unsubscribe. They're going to click on the spam button. So commit to adding value to your readers, and not just, and I got another clue for you. But wait, this is a sale price, so of course it's valuable. That's not valuable. That's you again. You're only worrying about you. Really, this is how you answer the question. If they're not in the furniture market, will they still value this email? In fact, will they share this email with other people that they know because it's so valuable? Once you've got that happening, you know you've got the right idea. Which leads to our next fundamental. What is the frequency that you're going to send out? We have a kind of our general rule is that less is more. I would rather leave them wanting. I would rather people eagerly anticipate my next email, and when they see it, absolutely open it up, versus sending so many emails that they just kind of pick and choose which ones they might want to open. So our general rule for furniture is there should be a darn good reason if you're publishing more than once a month. And I know that there are plenty of people that break that rule, and some of them are successful, but I guarantee you that 3 and 4 years down the road, they don't have the same people that they have on their email list that they do today. So if you've got a giant operation and you've got a whole lot of customer churn and you can afford to lose 10, 20% of your subscribers every year, every month, then go ahead and publish more often. But if you value all of the people on your list, then I would say probably once a month. And if you want to publish more often, then you'd better have even better content, right? If all you're doing is sending sales messages even more often, you're absolutely going to kill your list. You're going to have list fatigue, and there won't be a lot of value in it. So pick your frequency carefully. Whatever you pick, be consistent, and then we'll move on to the next steps. So we're kind of sticking with our basketball theme here. If Larry Bird was the master of fundamentals, then this guy, I don't know if you've ever seen Stephen Curry play basketball, but this guy does some amazing things with the basketball, from passing to shooting. So he's my icon for the advanced. So let's talk about a couple of advanced things that you need to consider for a great email marketing campaign. First off, does your customer care about design? They absolutely do. And so you need to get a kick-ass design and something that screams your brand. And then you need to make sure that your design is mobile responsive. Today, about half of emails are opened on mobile phones. And if you're thinking that your customer is going to pinch and zoom their way around your email, try to read it, and then trying to find the links that are too close together for any one human's finger to actually touch one link versus the other link, those kind of things, you're just dead wrong. And you're missing out on a huge part of your audience if you don't have a mobile responsive email template. So what I want to encourage you to do is resist taking something off the rack and just adding your logo to it and calling it good. I mean, I guess it's possible that you could have a perfect branding template that's out there that all it needs is your logo, but in most cases, it's not true. So trust me, your customers care about design. I mean, they're walking around with iPhones in their pockets, and they know what design looks like, even if they can't explain it. The next thing that is kind of advanced for email marketing is taking advantage of automation. You need to build in automation for your campaign engagement and to keep the engagement high. So really, automation, all that means is that you're setting up a message in advance and it goes out upon some predetermined event. It could be a passing of time. It could be somebody's activity, like signing up for your email list. But these are emails that are designed to go out designed to go out on schedule. And Cameron, I'm trying to think, if you're available, do you remember what the percentage is of automation? How much more they're opened? Do we have that? I know it's on our fact sheet. Do you have that handy?
I can find it quickly.
Okay. So anyway, automated messages, because they're targeted and because they come at just the right time, generally have a much, much higher open rate than your average broadcast message. So it's important that you kind of think about, what are the times in my customer's life cycle that I should be in touch with them? So I'll give you a couple of ideas. How about when someone first joins your email list from your website? And it's appalling to me when I go and look at people's websites and they have sign up for our email list. And first of all, they only ask for the email address. They don't ask for the first name, which is a big mistake, because now you can't personalize their message ever in the subject line or in the content of the body. And then the next thing that happens is I sign up for their email list and then I get nothing. I might get a please confirm your subscription with some boilerplate language with nothing there. So here you are, you've got this website, you've done all this marketing, you've essentially had a marketing party, and then somebody shows up to your party and you say nothing. You ignore them. That's just not very hospitable, and it's not going to earn you any friends. So one of the things that you can do is, when people sign up for your email list, you should have some kind of message. In fact, you should probably have 2 or 3 messages, so that in bite-sized chunks you can deliver what your unique selling proposition is, why they should care about you as a company, or how they can get to know you better, and explain your company's values in an authentic way. So what about another one? What about when they actually buy from you? Maybe it's a nice idea to actually thank them for your business. We do this with every single campaign for furniture retailer, and we provide a feedback loop. So, generally the email comes from the manager of the store, not necessarily the salesperson, and it says, hey, thanks a lot for purchasing. We hope you're happy with your purchase. If you have any suggestions for us or any feedback, we'd love to hear it. Here's my personal email address. And it makes the customer feel like a big shot, but what it also does is it opens up a feedback loop for people to give feedback easily to the GM. How about 2 weeks after delivery, asking your customers for a review? One of the best ways that you can build your social capital is to have excellent reviews. And so a well-crafted email that goes out right after people have been delivered, when they're most excited about their purchase, to ask them for a review. Now, of course, reviews go both ways. So if you're not confident that your reviews are going to be positive, then you need to shore up your operations part first. But assuming that you have a great business, reviews are a way to amplify that and get the message out. So by asking for a review and making it easy for them, saying, here's the link that if you're a Gmail user, in fact, maybe you should send Gmail users their own special email that says, here's a way to leave a review for us on Google+. And of course, you know that those affect your ratings when in search results, and when you've got 5 orange stars next to your name, when people search out furniture retailing in your town, you're going to get noticed a lot more than they are. So that's a great way to use automation. How about a message that goes out 60 days after delivery with a small coupon to get them back in? Okay, we know that most people buy furniture within about 30 days of buying furniture. So after their first purchase, maybe you wait out those 30 days because they might come back naturally. But if they don't, how about a little nudge at 60 days that says, hey, we really appreciate you coming in. Maybe there was one thing that you left off your shopping list. Come on back and see us. Here's a little thank you, a little something, something for you to come back in and see us. So that's a great one. How about a message for 6 months after they purchase a mattress with just very clear instructions on how to rotate their mattress and why it's important. We do several of these for furniture retail clients, and they're fantastic. The customer's like, wow, they just sent me this message with a reminder, not only on how to rotate my mattress, but that I should write this month's, write February on one side of my tag, and write, 2 plus 6 is it? So write August on the other side of my tag, so that as I'm changing my bed, I know to flip my mattress. What a cool company. I love these guys. Right? So these automated messages, once you design them, set them up, and they go out, they're just going out all day long, every day, building value for your guest and building that relationship that you have with them. How about a one-year message that says, hey, we miss you, and maybe there's a little private, call it a private anniversary sale. Here's a little coupon. Can you believe it's been a year since you were last in? Why don't you come back and see us, and we'll have a little private anniversary sale just for you. This coupon's only valid for you. It's valid for the next 30 days, and come on in and see us. We miss you. Okay? So there's some great ideas for using automation and making a big impact in your sales. The next advanced tactic is story. So humans connect to stories. It's just something about being human that's the way we relate to each other. And so I have a big idea for you. Tell more stories. I don't know if anyone else on here is a fan of Sneaky Pete. It's an Amazon deal, and we're on the last, one more episode to watch of its inaugural season. But what a great show, because it's got all these stories going on. There's all these storylines that are happening, and just when you're maybe getting bored of one story, boom, they switch over to another storyline. You're like, oh yeah, I forgot about that one, and they're keeping you engaged, entertained, and making me want to tune in and binge watch the next episodes. So if you can put this into your email marketing and tell great stories, then your people are going to be thinking about the next email that they get, and they want to hear what else is going on. So there are ways you can do this. Like, one of the things that we do is we try to pick a theme for the year, and think of your overarching theme like a season of TV. Okay, what's the season? What's the story we're going to tell this season? And then each email becomes an episode, like a TV episode in that season. So each, it's got a beginning and an end to it, the episode does, but it's all part of the bigger story. So if you can start to think about your campaign in that way, you're going to have tremendous results. And I have some other news for you, that email marketing takes some focus and it takes some work. And what I see happen a lot of times is, like, there's one guy who does the email marketing and it's kind of part of his job, and he really doesn't get, hey, you just kind of need to make this happen. He's like, well, when am I supposed to do this? And I'm like, I don't know, but we need you to do these other things right now. So it becomes this haphazard, part-time, when I can get it done, gee, we're supposed to send an email out tomorrow, what should we say, kind of effort. And the results are going to be pretty mediocre if you do that. So we recommend that you plan ahead, like way ahead. The schedule the work time, give yourself a chance for multiple revisions, don't wing it. So I've got a hint for you. If you're working on this month's email, you should just stop. And you should focus on next month's, or maybe even 2 months from now, and make it amazing. I'm actually going to admit something that I'm not all that proud of, but we weren't happy with our own campaign. And so instead of just sending out crap, we basically stopped. And we were, it was supposed to be a small stop, but it ended up being about 6 months. It was one of those deals where the cobbler's kids have no shoes kind of thing. We're so busy doing everybody else's email marketing that we just weren't proud of ours. But I thought it's better for us to do nothing than to send out dribble. So we just launched our new campaign, and for 2017 we've got a theme. There's a story behind it. We're very proud of it, and don't worry, I'll sign you up, and you can get off if you disagree. But anyway, email takes some focus, so make sure that it's in your schedule and plan, way ahead. And then here's a little warning. The biggest way to either have your campaign be a tremendous success or an utter failure is your involvement of the sales team. You need to engage the sales team. They're a big part of your success. And I'll give you a couple of hints on how to do this. First off, you should tell them what's in it for them. Okay? There's going to be a period that's going to be a leap of faith where you're going to be asking them to do something extra. And, salespeople are coin operated. They don't like to do anything that they're not getting paid for right now. And so there's going to be a little bit of faith, and you're needing to sell this program. But you need to tell them what's in it for them. One of the things that we do for our campaigns is we make sure that we have at the bottom of every email that goes out, we say the salesperson that helped you last time was Chuck Brown or whatever the person's name was, so that the customer has the opportunity to ask for that person. If they had good service last time, then they come in and they start asking. Cameron got back to me and said automated emails have 8 times more opens and clicks than any other type of email and can generate 6 times more revenue. They're proven to drive conversion rates by as much as 50% for B2C markets. So thank you, Cameron, for looking that up. Okay, so how else do you engage your salespeople? First, like I said, tell them what's in it for them. Showing them that, look, 2 years from now, 3 years from now, 6 months from now, maybe even a couple of months from now, somebody's going to come walking in with this email. It's got your name at the bottom of it. And so if your plan is to be here for a while, wouldn't it be nice to have several hundred people getting an email that's got your name on it when we do a sales event through email? So tell them that. Then you need to train them. So you don't just ask them, hey, start collecting email addresses. You need to train them on actually how to do it. And if you don't know how to do it, then you need to sit down and figure it out together and say, okay, well, how do you think we should ask for this? When should we ask for this? Should we ask for it at the point of sale? Should we ask for it early on in our engagement with the customer? And then do some role playing. So you should probably drill and rehearse. Remember, Larry Bird, fundamentals, right? Talk about this. You should, and then the next thing you should do is you should measure it. Salespeople are naturally competitive, so sometimes all it takes is to put up the collection percentage of each salesperson and what they're doing, and trust me, the guys at the bottom are not going to be excited about that, and they're going to work a little bit harder. The other thing I like to do is I like to reward people, especially when I'm having a kickoff for a new campaign. I might do a little contest, but here's one of my best secrets for doing a reward. What I like to do is about, maybe 5-6 months after the campaign has started, I like to have, in the next all-hands sales meeting, you say, hey, we have, I want to announce the winner of last month's email contest. Jerry, come on up here, buddy. You did a great job. You were #1 collecting emails. Here's a $250 gift certificate to the nicest restaurant in town. Way to go. Can you tell us a little bit about how you did it? Now, first off, Jerry's going to be pretty excited. He's going to be absolutely inclined to share exactly how he collects email addresses. But the other thing it's going to do is everybody else sitting in that meeting is going to be like, what the hell? I didn't know we had a sales contest going. And then you can address it straight on and be like, hey, guys, we've been drilling on this. We've been rehearsing on this. I told you it was important. You never know when we're going to have a contest. So I love the random contest. And then the other thing you can do is celebrate. When there's a great when something great happens, spread the word. I'm like, hey, did you hear about Chuck's sale? No, I didn't. Yeah, this guy just comes in and he asks for Chuck. Chuck didn't even remember the guy, but he asked for him because he was on the bottom of his email, and the guy just laid down for an entire house full of furniture, right? Those are the kind of stories that quickly get people on board. So hopefully that's a few hints on how to engage your salespeople. They're really important. And then I want to kind of wrap up a little bit on this presentation with this suggestion, know thyself. And it wasn't actually Keanu Reeves that coined that, it was Socrates. But Socrates didn't have such a cool slide. Anyway, so figure out where you're weak and figure out how to get help. So, you can try to build a team around your email marketing because you're going to need some expertise. And, there's a reason that you want to come to this talk today, and it's probably to figure out how to do this thing. And, I'm not going to kid you, it's not easy. It's hard. There's a lot of things to learn. It doesn't mean that you can't be good at it. It doesn't mean that you can't dig in and start to figure these things out. That's the great thing about the internet age and everything else, is that you can quickly become an expert or a near expert in some of this stuff when you can dig in. But you should also know yourself and go, okay, I am never going to be the best copywriter. We don't have a single person in-house that can design these emails. I don't have a clue on who our audience is. I don't know what to say. I don't know what the frequency is. Then potentially you'll want to make a different choice and maybe get some help. So just a quick commercial message about us. We've been doing this for 17 years, focused only on email marketing. You saw that we have several furniture clients. I grew up in the industry. I know it backwards and forwards. I know all the lingo. And I know what your salespeople are thinking and how to kick off campaigns. I know what people respond to. And I'm not the only guy on my team. I'm not the one guy wonder either. I have an entire team that we bring to bear, which is, a copywriter, an account coordinator, a designer, a guy that handles all the technical back and forth between your CRM and your email list, getting people to sign up on Facebook, the integration, getting people to sign up on your website. So we handle all that stuff. So I've got my contact information down here at the bottom. I do free 20-minute consultations for people. You'll get some value out of that specifically for your business, even if you don't decide to use us. But I'm happy to help. So hopefully that helps. I'm open to conversation at this point and to answer some questions. Cindy, Caprice, are you still on the line?
We are. So now thank you very much, Ken. Now we will conduct our Q&A portion. I'd like to encourage all attendees to submit any questions now and throughout our Q&A, and we will get to as many of them as we can. Ken, are you ready for your first question? We do have a few.
Yes.
All right. Now, you had talked about the contest with your sales team in gathering, but what is the best way to notify your sales staff of what is actually in the campaigns? How do you suggest to do that?
I suggest that all the salespeople join the email list. So you're getting a copy of it the moment that the other people are. And obviously, the company would be wise to distribute the email, proof a couple of days ahead of time if they can, and let the salespeople know kind of what's happening. But yeah, I encourage all salespeople to join their own email list so they see what the customer sees.
Great, thank you. Next question is, we are currently mixing up our messages. We give design tips, and then we also talk about sales events. If we're mixing our message, is it okay or suggested to do our emails more than once a month?
Well, like I said, if you're going to go more than once a month, then your campaign better be really good, because you're going to quickly bore your audience if it's all sales messages. So if you're like alternating, every other message, hey, first we do a value content laden email, and then the next email we talk about the sale. I think that's okay. It's not ideal. There's a couple things you need to be concerned about. One is that you'll get list fatigue when people see that half the content is only about you and your next sale. The other challenge, and this is kind of a long-term thing, but you'll have margin erosion because you'll train your customers to never pay retail and to only wait for the next email coupon to come in before they go shopping. If that's built into your margins and part of your strategy overall, then I guess that's okay. But a lot of retailers need that customer that comes in and just is not all that price sensitive and just wants great service. So think about your campaign that way.
Okay. Next question we have is, do you utilize text messaging as well as email messaging?
We don't. One of our furniture clients does, and it's one of those areas, when it first came up, we looked at it, but if you think people don't like getting spam email because you're not doing it right and you're sending, sales message after sales message, just wait until you start sending them to their text, to their phone, where people might actually have to pay for extra messages and that kind of thing. So it's one of those things where you really need to be careful about getting permission, and I'm not completely against it. Obviously text messages have a high impact. They have a high open rate, but I would be very resistant to overusing that. One of the things that's tough about email marketing, and I think also holds true for text marketing, is that it's very easy to choke the golden goose, right? You'll do it once, it works really well, and you're like, wow, let's do it again, let's do it again, let's do it again, and your goose is dead. So you need to be very careful with stuff that's powerful and works, because it's a double, like a sharp axe. It can be a great tool, and you can also hurt yourself with it.
Another question is, why do so many large companies send out emails daily, like your airlines, your rental cars, those kind of things?
Yeah, that's actually a great question. It could be that they have such a huge email list, like I'll tell you, like Pottery Barn, and just the worst offender. Don't ever, or maybe you want to do this as an experiment, but if you sign up for Pottery Barn, not only will you start getting 2 and 3 emails a week, if not a day from them, they just instantly share your email across their, Sonoma and whatever their other, Restoration Hardware, whatever their other brands are. They just don't even care. And eventually they've just taken that decision. I think what can happen is they go, hey, holy cow, this email thing is really, really important. And so they hire a couple of people to do the email thing, and then it works. And so they go, wow, we should do more emails. And so they hire a couple of more people. And then pretty soon you've got this team of email people sitting around, and they go, hey guys, you need to kind of earn your keep here. So what should we do next? Well, I guess we can send more emails. And it's just a very slippery slope where all of a sudden they've, pardon the expression, they just hoard themselves out, and it's, 2 or 3 times a day. And so I'm not sure, that it's a great campaign. If you think about your own inbox and think about those emails that you get, that you almost always open and you read, ask yourself, what is great about this email? And it may be a daily email. I get an email from, Seth Godin. I actually had to unsubscribe because I went wasting, but it was so good all the time that I constantly read it. So every single day, Seth Godin publishes. And it's usually pretty short, but they're so valuable of email, and all he does is give. He never even asks for anything. He just give, and it's like he's a marketing kind of guru. And so I'll actually open that one daily. But think about your own inbox and what you respond to. If it's the more frequent it is, the more value that it should have. And unfortunately, some people have just gone on to, they don't really care about their readers, and they're not looking at it from a long-term strategy. They're not saying, hey, how can we make sure that these people on our list are going to be on our list 4 and 5 years from now? And if you've got, millions of customers, maybe like the big, huge brands do, then they're like, I don't care. Well, that's why we got 100,000 new people signed up last month. So they just kind of churn them out, spit them out, and do it. But if you also think about your own inbox, let's say you're a Hertz customer, and you're like, all right, you don't really open those emails, right? You might just build a folder for them, and then when you are going to travel, you're like, all right, let me see what the latest thing is, and basically get a discount from Hertz. So, all they're doing is spending all this time and energy to send out emails that are eroding their margins when you probably would have paid whatever Hertz had on their thing, because Hertz is not about the price. Hertz is about the service, right? They're always the first drop-off. Your name's on the board. You walk up to your car, you get in, you drive away. So anyway, that's a long-winded answer to that, but sometimes companies don't. It's irresistible for them to keep doing it.
Thank you. Another question: how much is too much content, or just the right amount? What do you suggest?
Yeah. Again, it kind of depends on your frequency and how well-defined your audience is. If you're a full-line furniture retailer that serves the customer on the on a 1 to 10 scale, you try to serve everybody from 3 to 9. That's not a very targeted audience base. You're going to have people kind of all over the map, and it's going to be difficult to get the right kind of content. But if you have like hobbies is one of the highest email marketing response rates. Like we have a couple of fishing guides and fishing resorts that we do email for, and their open rates are unbelievable, like 50% kind of thing, because it's a very targeted and very specific thing. So if you're talking to a very specific niche of customer, I think you can get away with longer content. Another thought is that try different things. Okay, one of the techniques that we advise is you can have a small introduction. Like if you think about magazine articles, you know how they start, or even on your phone, like I noticed my iPhone news feed, the first paragraph is in this big font, right? Super easy to read, and I read it, and all of a sudden I'm engaged, and then I keep reading, even though I turn the page and it's an entire page full of copy. But by that time they've already hooked me. So one of the things you can do is set a hook and then have a little read more button that goes to your blog where the rest of the content is. That allows you to keep your content visually short, so people look at your email, they don't go, oh God, I can't read that. Even the people that have best intentions are like, oh, this is probably pretty good, I'll get to this later. Yeah, you've lost them. They're not coming back. So you need to keep it pretty short, but it's okay to break the rules too. I get some emails sometimes that I'm just looking at, I'm like, this email's ridiculous, and here I am reading the whole darn thing. So it just kind of depends on your audience. If you're going to send, I guess the rule of thumb is the tighter your audience is and the more value you've been adding, I think the more content you can send them and expect them to actually read.
Great. Okay, looks like we have one more. Do you use emails in addition to newsletters, or do you suggest combining them?
Do I use emails in addition to newsletters? I'm not sure I understand the question. I guess what they're asking is it okay to follow up using personal emails to people? Yeah, I think the reason email marketing is so effective, when I sold cars for a while. In fact, I was the national walk-around champion for Honda. I was #1 out of 10,000 salespeople. And I tried my best to stay in touch with every customer I'd ever sold a car to. But at some point it got, when you're selling 15, 20 cars a month, I couldn't do it anymore. And so then I started trying to do a paper newsletter. And that took forever and took a lot of energy. And so the thing that's great about email is that it's so scalable, right? Whether there's 2 people on your list or 700,000 like one of our clients, it doesn't matter. The same message goes out to people. So I would say personalized emails are great, but reality is that you're probably not going to be able to pull it off. One of the things you can do is you can create automated messages that are very personalized and very targeted so that they seem very much like a personal email. But I'm not sure if I'm answering the question right or not. If you got any clarification on it, I'd be happy to try to dig in a little more.
Well, thank you everyone that attended today, and a big thank you to Ken with Email Broadcast for putting together this presentation and giving us an hour of your time today. Now I want you to mark your calendars for our next presentation on Wednesday, March 8th from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. And the next webinar topic is Integrate Your In-Store Experience with Your Website. To register for this webinar, visit our website at www.myhfa.org, go to the Resources tab, and then go to the Webinar section. Again, the entire webinar, including the Q&A portion, has been recorded and will be available to watch on demand by this time tomorrow. Everyone that registered will receive an email from the Home Furnishings Association that tells you how to access the recording. If you do have any questions for the association or myself, you can reach us at 1-800-422-3778 or through our website at www.myhfa.org. Thank you very much and have a great day.